All right, so in today's video, I'm gonna teach you 3 things that you must not do when building your CRM deal stages. So the first mistake that you must not do is creating the deals where the deals go from left to right and from right to left. You may say, who does that? Well, you have no idea how often I see it, especially when they mix error 1 with error 2, but I'll get to that in a second. So what do I mean? Deals are closer to closing is because they're going from left to right. So if a deal goes here, it has the lowest chance of closing. If it moves to here, the likelihood of closing increase. It will depend for your business. It might increase from 10 to 25. I don't know. That will depend on your business. But the reality is that the likelihood of closing increase, and it must increase every time it moves to the right. Deals on the first stage has the lowest likelihood of closing. Deals to the right, they always increase the likelihood of closing. And if you're familiar with HubSpot lingo, you know that close one is 100%. Why? Because you already made the sale. And the last one is close loss. So never, ever, ever you can allow your sales team to move deals from the right to the left. There is no reason ever to do that. So mistake number 2 that I see extremely often is too many deal stages. They come to me with pipelines with many deal stages. That doesn't make sense. No one understands what they mean. And one of the first things that we do when we're doing the audit of your sales pipeline, we ask every single team member to define every category, every deal stage. And you know what happens when you have these many deal stages? Is that you ask one person, when this happens and this happens, in which deal stage is this deal on? And they will say 11. You ask the next person and they will say 8. So you know what happens? Is that no one has any idea. Your sales manager doesn't have a clue what's going on or how much is gonna sell. So if you tell them, hey, marketing is down, leads are coming down, what's gonna happen in the future? They have no clue because there is no organization. So now you're watching this, mistake number 1 starts to make a little more sense. So what are the 2 main causes for this problem? Well, cause number 1 is because stages at the very early on the process are too early. The chances of someone closing here is like 0.05. So this is not really a deal. This is a lead that your team has to nurture to send it to your sales team. When they get here, they should be already at least marketing qualified, if possible, sales qualified. It's a sales qualified lead. The second cause on why I see this so often is because deal stages are made for tasks that your team has to do. So this is no longer a deal stage or a pipeline. This is like a to-do list for tasks that your sales team uses. So if it's in deal stage, I have to send a follow-up email. When it goes to deal 6, I have to push for the sales call, or I have to push for the appointment, or I have to push for the showing. When they go to stage number 7, now it's a task to start maybe underwriting or something along those lines. So cost number 1, stages for leads that are not sales qualified or marketing qualified. Cost number 2, the stages are tasks for your team to do. That's not what a pipeline is for. What's a pipeline for? It's usually, in the greatest and craziest scenario, maybe you do 10 stages, but that's very uncommon. Very likely you watching, your pipeline can be built in 5 deal stages. Very easy. Each deal stage will have an exit criteria. So you say, hey, yeah, but how do my team know that I have to do a task from here to here because they know when this happens? Those are called tasks within a deal stage. And there are some certain exit criteria that they have to happen, that they must happen before the deal moves. But that's not a stage, that's a task. And how we call them at Blue Paperclip, that's a push task. What's the error number 3 that I see extremely often? And I'm saying like 80% or more that our clients, they do this mistake. They don't value their pipeline. What does this mean? Is that to know that your business is doing bad, you have to wait for deals to stop closing. When you value your pipeline, you can know way ahead when problems arise or when things are doing great. Why am I saying that you can know if your marketing team is doing a good job way in advance? Well, because of this. Your marketing team's job is to put deals here. Your sales team's job is to get these deals from here to one. So why you can know way in advance? Well, I'm gonna use round numbers. So let's say the likelihood of closing when a deal gets to stage one. And how do I know this? Because your own data. HubSpot natively tracks this for you. So you'll know what's the likelihood. As long as your team is doing this correctly, as long as they're moving deals from left to right and they're not moving backwards and going all crazy, HubSpot natively tracks this for you. So we know that when a deal gets here, when the marketing team sends a deal here, the likelihood of closing is 10%. In this one, let's say it's 20%. In this one, let's say it's 50%. And once they get to the contract preparation or something like that, it's 80% chance of closing. So if your pipeline usually is X amount and right now is 30% down X amount, well, it's time to go rush into the marketing team because your pipeline value went down. Or the other way around, maybe it's a time to relax. The team is stressed. Things are doing amazing. The pipeline usually value is $200,000 and today is $350,000. So you know you're crushing it. It's time to take a break and focus on another thing or another area. Maybe it's operations now. So again, you don't have to be waiting for deals to start being lost or deals, oh, I track my accounting and I check my accounting and have my data 3 weeks later after the end of the month. So if you want to know November's numbers, you have to wait for the end of December. And now you see that you're screwed up, that your marketing team screw up, and it takes a while to go back and start getting leads to stage one. When you value your pipeline, you'll know way in advance how much you will be closing the next month. And this is especially valuable for companies that have long sales cycles. So what's the value of this pipeline? Again, we're using round numbers, so it's 3,000 because the average ticket price for your business is $1,000 in this scenario. So 10% of 3,000 is $300. Here is $200. Here is $1,000. And here is $800. So if my math is correct, it's 2,300. So the value of this pipeline is 2,300. So you compare it with last month, you compare it with 2 months ago, you can compare it to a year ago. So if it's usually lower than 2,300, awesome, you're doing great. If it's higher, usually, you know you have some work to do to start getting more leads here and start increasing the value of your pipeline. And why this is so powerful is because once you know that it takes a month from going from deal stage number 3 to close one, you know that in a month time, you're gonna have $1,000, 50% of 2 deals. All right, so that's the importance of knowing the value of your pipeline. And a lot of people don't do this, probably you don't do either. So to summarize, what are the 3 mistakes? Number 1, not understanding that deals go from left to right and never back to left. Number 2, your pipeline definitely shouldn't have 100 deal stages. Rule of thumb, probably 6. And number 3, not knowing your pipeline worth.